Welcome in. This is Chiefs Chase. My name is Mike Bassano, and thank you so much for joining me here on a Super Bowl edition of Chiefs Chase.
As well, and they get a knockdown as Witherspoon came under pressure, and Uchenna Nwosu is going the distance for a touchdown.
We got a lot to get to, including the Super Bowl and the Chiefs. The offseason begins right now.
Pickett back to pass against the blitz, did not see it. Noel Williams from the corner spot.
Everybody's 0-0, and it's not a better feeling in the world. There is no better feeling when you have a team that didn't make the playoffs than when the Super Bowl ends and everybody's at 0-0. After the longest month I can remember for years, I get to have a little bit of optimism as the Chiefs, with their top 10 pick, head into this offseason to rebuild and reload. They need help at pass rush, running back, wide receiver, and hopefully they can find another right tackle. There are pieces to be rebuilt in this team, and there are things that can be enhanced. But the biggest issues the Chiefs had were coaching. New wide receiver coach, new running back coach, new offensive coordinator. The Chiefs have revamped their offensive coaching staff because they know offense was the problem. And I 100% expect them to go offense with their top 10 pick. They could go tackle, could go wide receiver, or they could go with Jeremiah Love, running back out of Notre Dame. In fact, most mock drafts right now have the Chiefs taking Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame. But no matter what, the best feeling in the world is the feeling that we get to have right now. The Chiefs, like everybody else, are 0-0. No longer 6-11. The hellacious period that we've had to deal with over the last month of watching everyone else in the playoffs, watching other teams in the Super Bowl, having to say my team is 6-11 for the last month is over, because my team is not 6-11. They are 0-0, just like yours. Let's dive in. Super Bowl win is to the Seahawks, 29-13. Sam Darnold played well enough. Kenneth Walker, the MVP. But I want to start with Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold has one of the most inspiring stories in NFL history. This guy went from a castaway, a third overall pick that people thought had a lot of talent. He goes to the Jets, where careers go to not happen. He goes to the Jets. He then floats around the NFL, Panthers, Niners. Then last season, in 2024, Sam Darnold goes to the Minnesota Vikings and has an awesome season. Ends up winning 14 games, just shy of the number one seed, because the Detroit Lions were just that good in 2024. Ben Johnson at offensive coordinator, are you kidding me? Then they decide they want to move on from Sam Darnold. He gets casted away again. This time the Seattle Seahawks see something in him. Mike McDonald and Clint Kubiak put him in the right positions, and you saw a leader in the Super Bowl. He didn't have a great game, but he didn't make the mistakes, and that was the difference in this game. He let the rest of the team do their jobs, and he understood, I have Kenneth Walker. I have the best defense on the planet. I don't have to move heaven and earth to win this game. I just have to be Sam Darnold and play smart football. And that's why the Seattle Seahawks won this game. That's why the Seattle Seahawks are Super Bowl champions, because they saw the vision of Sam Darnold, again, casted away by multiple teams, now Super Bowl champion. Even Kyle Shanahan, who I know loves Brock Purdy, and they're probably going to hold on to Mac Jones, he's got to be wondering, I have a guy who just won the Super Bowl who was on my roster, and I let him walk. Do you think Kyle Shanahan, at the very least, has a small part of him second-guessing, wondering if he should have stayed with Sam Darnold? Of course he does, because that's what every coach does in this situation. They think of what could have happened. Think about the two Super Bowls the 49ers lost to the Chiefs. Both came down to quarterback play. frankly. And you could say, oh, if this would have gone differently, if that would have gone differently, whatever. But 49ers fans are still thinking about that throw to Emmanuel Sanders downfield that Jimmy Garoppolo missed. They still know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that. So 49ers fans, Kyle Shanahan, they're looking at this and wondering. Minnesota fans, Sam Darnold has created so many fan bases with so much regret after winning the Super Bowl in his first year with the Seattle Seahawks. All these fan bases that had him, they had him on their roster, and they didn't know what they had. Or in the Vikings case, they knew exactly what they had, 14 wins, and they thought, meh, we can do better. Like, what an insane thing for the Vikings to do. But their loss is Seattle's gain as one of the most inspiring stories in the history of the NFL, Sam Darnold. It came to fruition the way it should, where Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen have never been to a Super Bowl from the same draft class as Sam Darnold, and Sam Darnold is now Super Bowl champion. It tells you to never give up. Keep doing what you're doing, and know that deep down, you still have the ability to be you and be great. That's what everyone should learn from the journey of Sam Darnold. Now, the Super Bowl MVP, Kenneth Walker. What a monster. Kenneth Walker is, in the postseason, Kenneth Walker has been one of the greatest running backs we've ever seen. And that's an absolute fact. Watch the way he runs. His agility, his ability to cut at his size is unbelievable. He looks like Darren Sproles, but he's built like Adrian Peterson. That's an unbelievable combination. And it makes you kind of wonder, how in the world are they going to let Kenneth Walker walk in free agency? Seahawks fans are telling me that they're going to keep Kenneth Walker. Like, don't worry about it. He's staying in Seattle. I don't know, man. He's going to free agency as very easily the hottest commodity at the running back position. He can make so much money this offseason. I don't know. It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot for the Seahawks to get him and to keep him. I don't know if they can. Kenneth Walker's going to have a lot of opportunities. And this is why when you take a wait and see on a guy, you usually end up with egg on your face. See Joe Flacco in 2012. Remember Flacco? The Ravens were like, we aren't sure about Flacco. Then he leads them to a Super Bowl victory in 2012, and they had to give him everything. Now, I don't know if the Seahawks are going to stay in that realm, but with the injury, I believe it was a torn ACL to Zach Charbonnet in the divisional round of the playoffs, he's not going to be ready for a while. They're going to have to try as best they can to keep Kenneth Walker. But my guess is he is going to cost a lot of money on the open market. An incredible game by him. His elusiveness and power. One of the most incredible things I've ever seen in my life. So good job, Kenneth Walker. What an incredible player, man. What a magnificent, amazing performance by him. He earned his MVP. He was the only offensive player on either side to do anything for like 2.5 to 3 quarters. And he put the team on his back, though. And it was an incredible performance by him. Very well deserved of the MVP. But really, Kenneth Walker was amazing. Let's put that out there. But the reason Kenneth Walker won the MVP is because you can't give the MVP to the entire Seattle Seahawks defense. You have to talk about this Seahawks defense when we talk about the greatest of all time. When we talk about the 2000 Ravens. When we talk about the 2013 Seahawks and the Legion of Boom, when we talk about the 2015 Broncos, we have to also talk about the 2025 Seattle Seahawks defense. Because if you could give the MVP award to the entire defense, you would do it. That unit is one of the most impressive in the history of time, and finally, it will be treated as such, as they have ended every debate. They have stopped everyone in their tracks, and they have forced, through domination, everyone to bow down on their knees and say, we are not worthy. Seahawks defense, as they ride off into the sunset of the 2025-26 season with a Lombardi trophy in their hands. And a big thing this did is it ended the debate about who has the best defense in the NFL. The great defense debate is over. All year we talked about who has the best defense in the NFL? Is it the Houston Texans? Is it the Denver Broncos? I was riding with the Broncos defense a lot of the time. But it turned out to be the Seattle Seahawks defense that was the difference. They were able to suffocate the New England Patriots, and they held the Patriots essentially to no points. I mean, really 7, I guess you could say. But this was like, I mean, I have not seen a more helpless team in a long time when it comes to to see the New England Patriots offense look completely inept. I mean, the Seahawks have ended any kind of conversation about who the best defense was in this league. And really, they've opened up a historic conversation about where they rank among the greatest of all time. Drake May looked lost. And we'll get to that in a minute. We'll talk about Drake here in a minute. But the Seattle defense was able to completely confuse Drake May at a level where they ended every debate that we had all season about who had the best defense. Anybody with any question as to who the best defense was in the NFL had that question smashed emphatically in the Super Bowl by the Seattle Seahawks. We talked about the Houston Texans, the Denver Broncos, great defenses, awesome. But the Seattle Seahawks had a defense that suffocated, created turnovers, stopped the run, and wreaked havoc in the backfield against quarterbacks. They had no weaknesses. And so many times people want to say, oh, you're glazing or you're being, what's the word that I'm thinking of? You're being hyperbolic. Yeah, people say that that's hyperbolic. You're glazing. It's too hyperbolic. Well, you really can't say too much about the Seattle Seahawks defense. You can't be hyperbolic about a team that went 14-3, got the 1 seed, ran roughshod through the playoffs, and dominated the Super Bowl. What can you say about that team that's hyperbolic? I don't think there's a lot. So that is what the Seattle Seahawks defense has done. Absolutely ended that debate. I want to get to the teams here in a second, but man, let's talk about them. We talked about it during the week. I'm not going to toot my own horn too hard, but this one's pretty good. During the week, I did a post where I talked about the one guy in this Super Bowl who will make a massive impact that nobody's talking about, and that man was Cooper Kupp. And this is why you never count out a veteran in the Super Bowl. These guys who have played long careers understand exactly how important this game is and how rarely it comes around. And those are the guys who tend to come extra prepared with extra energy and extra pep. And that's what we saw from Cooper Kupp as he had 6 receptions for 61 yards, leading the Seahawks in both categories. When JSN got banged up and had to go out for a little bit, Cooper Kupp was the guy, and he answered the call when they needed him to be the number 1 wide receiver of the Seattle Seahawks. So not only did he make a significant impact in this game, Cooper Kupp uplifted the passing game of the Seattle Seahawks with key first downs and big catches that kept drives on schedule. Talk about a veteran getting a second chance and really capitalizing on that chance to make a huge statement about who he is as a football player and as an individual. Hats off to Cooper Kupp, the leading receiver in receptions and yards for the Seattle Seahawks in the Super Bowl. Boom, Coop. I'm a big Coop fan. If you follow me for a while, you know that. I'm a big Cooper Kupp guy. I think he is one of the best route runners and instinctual receivers of all time. He and Travis Kelce are very similar in my mind, where they find space where no one else can find space. And anyone who says otherwise about Travis Kelce on that, by the way, haters. If you don't think Travis Kelce is a genius at finding space, you don't watch football, or you don't understand it. One of the two. But yeah, Cooper Kupp, Travis Kelce, very similar in the sense that they can find space in situations where other guys can't. And it's why they've continued to be good deep in their careers. Great work, Cooper Kupp, tonight. Very happy. I had a Kalshi bet on Cooper Kupp's receiving yards. Feeling pretty good. It's Super Bowl Sunday, baby. All right, we got a couple more things to get to. It's not going to be a super long show, but I wanted to do a long form show. I haven't done one since the Chiefs-Raiders game And I miss it. I miss you guys. I love you guys coming on the lives with me on TikTok. That's so much fun. And we did it for every single postseason game. Every single one. Wild card, division, conference championship, Super Bowl. We were live on TikTok, and I appreciate so deeply those of you who were on there with me. We also did posts throughout the entire playoffs. But we haven't done a long-form show where it's just me talking to you. And I love those shows. So I'm so happy to do that tonight. We got to talk about a Seahawks Hall of Famer that was solidified as a Seahawks Hall of Famer tonight. I'll tell you who that is in a couple minutes. But first, every team is now 0-0. The greatest moment of the year if you have a team like mine that didn't go to the playoffs this year, that crushed your heart into a million pieces and littered it on the lawn. If you have a team like that went, I don't know, call it 6-11, you are now 0-0 after the longest month of the entire year for those of us who didn't make the playoffs, watching everyone else in the playoffs, saying that our team's 6-11, being like, man, I wish we were in the play. That's all over. Now we get to enjoy the 0-0 glory of understanding that the new season starts right now. The Seahawks fans will enjoy the next month as they celebrate their Super Bowl, and then they'll lock in for the next season. But for those of us who are not Seahawks fans, we will be starting the new season today. And as far as me, I will be doing lives, we will be doing posts, we will be on for the draft, for free agency, for everything. This show never stops. We have no off season, we drive forward. So thank you for being here with me as we are now 0-0. Also, another important thing to point out, the last AFC team to win the Super Bowl is still the Kansas City Chiefs. Let me say that one more time. The last team out of the AFC to win the Super Bowl is the Kansas City Chiefs. So there is a solace in this, and that is the greatest news you could possibly hear as a Chiefs fan. Because had Drake May and the New England Patriots won the Super Bowl and gotten Super Bowl confidence, which is a thing. When you win your Super Bowl, when it's your first one, you get hungry for more. You get fired up for more. There's a fire that burns inside of you where the competitive juices just get flowing like crazy and you really want to get another one. But historically, if you lose your first Super Bowl as a quarterback, Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, and countless others, you struggle to make it back. In fact, most of them never make it back. If you've won one and then you lose one, well, it's different because you know what it feels like to win. The people who don't know what it feels like to win, who have to walk off that field while confetti of the other team rains down on top of them, it gets in your head. And the Chiefs being the last AFC team to win a Super Bowl means that the Chiefs still own the AFC. And that is a very heartwarming moment for me and a very happy moment, I think, for all of Chiefs Kingdom. Jason Myers, the kicker for the Seattle Seahawks. Jason Myers is a Seahawks Hall of Famer. 5 for 5 on field goals in a Super Bowl where nobody could get any offense going. Jason Myers put the team on his back. I mean, he and Kenneth Walker, but when it came to actually scoring points, Jason Myers was the guy, and he never had a doubt. Every single kick, 0 heart racing, no raise. What was it? My heartbeat? Heartbeat stays the exact same. He drilled every single kick. There was never a doubt when a ball left his foot that it was going in between those uprights. So Jason Myers deserves to be a Seahawks Hall of Famer. And I think Seahawks fans would 100% agree with me on that. When you have a kicker go into a game that's ugly and you need him, right? Because a lot of times you don't need your kicker. But when it's ugly, you need your kicker. And Jason Myers came through so beautifully on the biggest stage that not only did he hit every single field goal, he absolutely drilled every single field goal. The second he hit the 33-yarder and it was good from 60, you knew Jason Myers is on today. And the performance that he gave in the redemption Super Bowl for the Seahawks, 100%. put him in the Seahawks Hall of Fame. Awesome performance by him. And that's what this was for the Seahawks. This was a redemption. 100%. This was a redemption game. Because I have diehard Seahawks fan friends who tell me that they cried 11 years ago when Malcolm Butler, it picked off Russell Wilson and the Patriots won the Super Bowl. This is the first time the Seahawks have been back in 11 years. And they got the Patriots? Tell me that didn't matter. Tell me that didn't make it more important for the Seahawks to win this game. Tell me that wasn't ringing in the thoughts of every Seahawks fan for the entire last 2 weeks. All Seahawks fans were thinking about for the last 2 weeks was Malcolm Butler. And that game that they lost, the game that came up short, that they should have won if it weren't for Pete Carroll and wanting to get Russell Wilson the MVP, letting the ego get in the way of logic where you have beast mode and you just got to hand him the ball. It was ringing so heavily in the thoughts of Seahawks fans that Mike McDonald had to answer a question about it 4 times on Media Monday for the Super Bowl. 4. Look, this is a situation where if you're a Seahawks fan, you got to feel like the world has finally shined on you after a decade, and you feel like you got it back. You got your swagger back. Oh, oh, oh. That's how it's got to feel. Seahawks, baby. I'm fired up for you guys. I'm happy for you. By the way, Jason Myers also with 2 for 2 on extra points. But that 5 for 5 on field goals is insanity. And to me, that's a Seahawks Hall of Famer now. That's the same thing with Harrison Butker being a Chiefs Hall of Famer. He won multiple AFC championships and Super Bowls with his leg. Chiefs Hall of Famer. No question. All right, we'll end with this. A message for the Patriots. Drake May will grow from this, and the Patriots will learn from this. They have a young team that overachieved what they were supposed to be this year, and they still put together a phenomenal football season. This will be a growing experience for Drake May. Only 23 years old, born in 2002. The second youngest quarterback to ever start in the Super Bowl in the history of the NFL. The Patriots are going to continue to get better, and they will likely take over the AFC East from the fraud Bills, and we will see them back once again in the playoffs next year, hopefully with Patrick Mahomes right there with him for what should be a very epic matchup between 2 big-time quarterbacks that I already can't wait for. Mike Vrabel is an incredible coach, one of the best in the NFL in my opinion. And I think he will get these guys not only back, but back with a vengeance. And we will see the New England Patriots become a contender for years to come. This won't be the last time we see Drake May in the Super Bowl. I really believe that. So keep your head up, Pats. Another thing for Patriots fans. Oh, at least Kayshon Boutte probably can afford to keep him now. There is that. I mean, there's a certain level to that. So this is it is like sometimes you're like, well, at least he played poor enough that you can keep him, you can afford him. Because Kenneth Walker, I mean, it's going to be really tough for the Seahawks to keep Kenneth Walker. They're going to want to keep him, but it's going to be so expensive after what he just did on the biggest stage. Everybody's going to want a shot at Kenneth Walker, and there's going to be somebody willing to pay him an absurd amount of money. But you also have to keep in mind that Seahawks offensive line, like we'll end it with this. What we learned in this Super Bowl was that the front lines are everything. The Seahawks dominated up front, offensive line and defensive line. They dominated the entire game. And when you win in the trenches on a consistent basis, you're going to win. Doesn't matter. It's a really easy thing to forget about because we get so enthralled with quarterbacks and running backs and wide receivers. But the vast majority of times, these games are won in the trenches. And we saw that with the Seahawks and the Patriots. The Seahawks were more physical, they were tougher, and they were more talented up front. So as well as everybody in Seattle did, the number one reason the Seahawks won this Super Bowl is because they dominated the trenches. And that tells you exactly where every team, including the Kansas City Chiefs, should focus in the offseason. and that is making sure your offensive and defensive line are as strong as they can possibly be. So when you get on the biggest stage, your quarterback actually has a chance to throw instead of run for his life. It did feel very reminiscent of a couple of Chiefs Super Bowls, watching Drake May have no time to throw the ball for the New England Patriots. This has been Chiefs Chase. My name is Mike Bassano. How fun! A long-form show. Let's go. Let's go. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for having fun with me and enjoying this entire Super Bowl experience, man. I had such a good time with you guys. This has been a great season. Even at 6-11, it's been a great season. I've had a lot of fun. I hope you guys have had fun too, and we will keep going. That's all we do. We're going to hammer it out during the offseason. We're going to have an absolute blast. So please stay tuned. Please subscribe and like if you can. Share it if you can. Tell somebody about the show because we want to keep it going forever. And frankly, I will. I don't care if there's 3 people listening and I'm doing the show out of a garage with a cell phone. We're going to do this show forever. But we would like to make the show production value as high as possible. So please like, subscribe, share with people so I'm not sitting in the woods with a disposable camera from 2006 trying to go shot for shot to give you a show. That sounds nuts, but like I would do it. Thank you again for listening. Have an awesome night and enjoy the off season with me because we will be here every step of the way. Have an awesome night. Great to see you guys. I don't want to end the show because I'm having fun. God bless.